Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now this video you just clicked on, it's not a best of 3, it's not a best of 5, it's not a best of 7. I know the video duration, it's very long, but this is just a single match. We find ourselves on the map Neo-Humanity and spawning right here in the top left-hand corner, playing with the blue Zerg drones from Italy, we have none other than Reynor. His opponent in the opposite corner with the red Terran SCVs, he's from Poland and he's been getting really good over the last half year or so. We're looking inside of the main base of Spirit. Of course, Spirit, I mean, he's always been good, but I feel like over the last, especially since I am kind of Vitsa and a little bit before that as well, I really feel like he can hang with the big boys. Reynor, of course, I mean, a very successful StarCraft 2 player. For example, a small tournament he's won back in the day. The StarCraft 2 World Championships, right? I think that's pretty respectable. Either way, this is supposed to be an absolute banger of a game. I haven't seen it yet, but for some reason, it's incredibly long. So, I guess we'll have to find out exactly what ended up going down between these two. Spirit is well known. This has been a bit of a running joke in the StarCraft 2 caster community. I don't know if we can really call it that. But anyways, whenever you're casting a best of 3 of StarCraft 2, usually tournaments, they will schedule about 45 minutes. Whenever there's like a best of 5 being played, usually an hour 15 is relatively okay. Whenever Spirit is playing though, especially a year ago, you might want to double those numbers, because the man is very fond to, well, grab his entire side of the map and then wait for it all to mine out. I don't know if that's what ends up going down in this particular game. In general, Terran is played quite actively right now in the current meta, or, well, Terran likes to sit back and just get a whole lot of ghosts going and then slowly but surely gobble up the entire map. This is, however, Reynor we're talking about. Reynor is considered to be, well, it's either him or Clem, but he's considered to be one of the absolute fastest players in the entire game. The guy is incredibly good. If you've ever seen his live stream or, for example, his first-person view, or maybe you got to watch him play in person, you'll notice he's very quick on the keyboard. I think the very first time I ever saw him play in person was at the WESG in Barcelona. This was before he got really good at the game. And I had seen a lot of StarCraft 2 at that point, but he was noticeably quicker. I think I mentioned this before in videos too, but at the time, he was playing without headphones on. He was just having full-on conversations with people that were standing around him while, you know, probably going upwards of like 500 APM. Young kid at the time. Very promising for sure. And, well, he's certainly shown us that he is one of the very best players of all time. Back in the day, his early game and mid game were amazing. Late game is where he sort of lacked a little bit. I think mostly patience was one of the problems he ran into. It wasn't that he lacked the skills to control it, but most of the time, I mean, I have this problem in my own games too. Most of the time, I think he used to jump the gun a little bit too aggressively, but over the years, he's grown into a very well-rounded Zerg. Anyhow, we've got ourselves a very normal build here from both players. Reynor not going for the fastest possible third hatchery or anything along those lines, hitting a little bit of a supply block here. That is unfortunate, but he's decided to prioritize the Zergling speed upgrade here, which is something we see time and time again. A lot of Zerg players like to get the Zergling speed a little bit later so they can actually get that third base out a little bit quicker. This is mostly a stylistic choice. Reynor tends to play both styles. And in the meantime, on the other side of the map, we see Spirit going for a quick 1-1-1 with a third command center. Couple of Hellions coming out at a time. We've got ourselves a Banshee on the production tab as well. This is about as standard as it gets when it comes to playing with the Terran pieces. Orbital command should be starting up right now. Nice. Thank you for making me look good. He had to wait until he had 150 minerals right there. Anyways, the cloaking field is gonna come up. Double tech lab here as well. So Spirit, even though he can certainly play that mech-based army, I think with the second tech lab, he's gonna be researching that Stimpack research very soon. Researching the research. Quality commentary. Using both the verb as well as the name for the it's Stimpack, okay? It's a good upgrade. We should be seeing it no, we're not gonna see it yet. No, we're not gonna see it yet. We should be seeing it. Little supply block here. Right now. There you go. 100 gas is what it needed. Alrighty. So, additional barracks coming up right now. Additional gas is coming up as well. Third command center is gonna fly on over. Reynor not opting to go for the Eric build that blocks the opponent's third base. The last game of Terran vs Zerg that I casted on this map was between Clem and Cyril. And Cyril, believe it or not, ended up going for the Eric build, and he actually was blocking his opponent's base with creep. If you haven't seen that absolute banger of a series, I mean, I don't know how good this game is going to be, but that has to be my favorite series I've casted this entire year. I'll go ahead and post a link to it down below in the description of this video, because it was such a good one. Anyways, Spirit, he manages to secure his third base, no problem. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, Reynor did go for a nice and speedy lair, and he's got himself a Spire coming up right now. Now, the Spire does come at the cost of the double upgrades here. So, he doesn't really take a lot of damage here in the early game, which is fair enough. As a matter of fact, no workers have been killed just yet. But normally, Evo Chambers and Baneling Speed are the, well, the priorities for Zerg. In this particular case, though, it's gonna be Mutalisks. Alright, so maybe Reynor a little concerned about letting Spirit just do whatever he likes. Sitting back and, well, letting Spirit macro up is always dangerous. So instead, he's gonna want to grab the advantage in the speed of this game. Okay. Good positioning, by the way, on the Spire as well. That is not arbitrary. It's the least likely location for the Terran player to pick it off. I mean, also to just spot it in general, right? This is not a location you'll likely scout. So, we don't have that much, though. Yeah, I think Reynor maybe originally wanted to... Or is he gonna cancel that upgrade again? No. I thought maybe for a second he was faking the Baneling Speed upgrade. Okay. Well, if we're only gonna go for 5 mutas at a time, I think we probably could have gotten the Baneling Speed upgrade a little bit quicker. In the end, though, as long as you have the Baneling Speed by the time that Terran goes for an attack, you'll be okay. I think the first possibility for Spirit to go for a proper attack is when 1-1 finishes over here, together with the combat shields and the Stimpack research. So, he's not likely to start marching across the map here for at least another, I want to say, yeah, 45 seconds or so. And by the time that happens, we will have the Baneling Speed. But notice here the distinct lack of Evo Chambers, though. No Evolution Chambers here for the Zerg player whatsoever. Now they start up. So this is one of the big problems of going for Mutaling Bane. This used to not be a problem back in the day. But yeah, players have gotten very good at those marine-based attacks. And by the time that Zerg starts up 1-1, Spirit should have started up 2-2. Now, as long as he gets 3-3 in the end, obviously that's the maximum. It shouldn't be a big problem, but for a long time there, Terran is gonna be ahead. That said, though, obviously, these mutas, yeah, they're unscouted, and how much damage are they gonna be able to do? Will they be able to justify the 1-1 upgrades? Or lack thereof? Yeah, this is my feeling about mutas in general. I like mutas, but also a little bit risky of a choice, right? Like, okay, he killed 6 SCVs, he still has all of them around, he's gonna double down, so he's actually gonna even go for the +1 flyer attacks, but it's one of those units where I always feel like if you're below, I wanna say 6,000 MMR, so if you're below, like, top 40 on the ladder, you probably should not be playing mutas, because it is just, it's a recipe for disaster. It's one of those units that gets better the more APM you have. Right, so if you have 400-500 actions per minute, power to you, first and foremost, that's amazing. Good for you, I'm a little jealous. But yeah, the problem is if you don't control these units properly, you'll accidentally have a bunch of mutas going down to, well, for example, a Thor or a bunch of Marines getting underneath. It's a slippery slope, man, and you ideally want to stay on top of all of your creep spread and all of the other things you gotta get done as well. So I don't think I like the mutas all too much, but they certainly will never leave the meta truly, right? Maybe Hydras have been a little bit more popular lately. And with lately, I mean the last couple of years, because the lurker transition is just so strong. In general, mutas are still gonna be good. I think they will always at least be part of the game, but with a little asterisk right next to it. Only the best of the best really seem to be able to get value out of them. And even they will oftentimes accidentally stand there and take a couple of Widow Mines to the face, or they don't pay attention, the Marines get underneath, and the Thors get a couple extra shots in. It's very dangerous. Now, mutas are also gonna have to contest right here with the Medevacs. So Medevacs are actually really lovely in combination with Thors. I hope we're gonna see some of that here from Spirit. Picking up Thors and boosting them after Medevacs. Or, sorry, picking up Thors and boosting them after Mutalisk is amazing. So, it takes 4 shots of the Thors to kill the mutas. And usually if you have 2 Thors standing side by side, you can get 2 hits in quite easily. And then you can pick them up, boost the medevacs, chase after those mutas, and then get another set of shots in. It's a really lovely move. Maybe in this case it's not really necessary though. But anyway, Spirit, he is gonna try and secure this center base over here. A lovely location for the Terran. He's already happily adding on his command centers too. We have the Ghost transition coming up. Ghost transition. Okay, no, just me. All right, anyways. It's gonna be tricky right here for, yeah, Reynor to break this position right here for Spirit. Really good positioning, by the way, here for the Terran player. How in the world do you break this? Yeah, he's not arbitrary right here with his building positioning. This is all very cleverly done. Yep, lovely there. Lovely right there as well. Just making sure that he gets as much value out of this as possible. Now, medevac, boost. Pick him up, get him out of there. A couple Marines are gonna end up going down, but honestly, replacing supply with more ghosts is probably the right call. Now, this is kind of interesting. So even though we did have a Muta start, usually, at least in my mind, Mutaling Bane, it leads towards Ultras, because that's what we always used to do, but there's absolutely no way that Ultras are gonna work in this particular game. So we've got to transition towards a Lurkers. Okay. I don't know if Lurkers are gonna work, but they will certainly be better at defending positions than Ultras, I can tell you that much. Tactical Nuke on the production tab, 11 minutes into it. Yeah, so far this definitely does look like a longer game, but really, like... Okay, small spoiler alert, I guess, for this particular match. I looked at the replay timer. This may be the longest game of StarCraft 2 that I have maybe, well, not ever seen. There was one game, I think this was Firecake versus Mana from Heart of the Swarm. I don't know how many of you watched that particular match. I tried getting the replay, but Mana didn't have it anymore, and I have no contact with Firecake. Anyways, I don't even think it would work anymore, but he apparently banished that game from his mind, is what he said, because he hated playing that match so much. But that was literally a 3.5 hour long game, where one player had Swarm Host. Now, this was before the Swarm Host got entirely reworked. And Mana had a bunch of Colossi, and basically they were just roasting Locust, and nobody wanted to attack, but nobody could really force this stalemate either. Just a disaster of a game. Would have been fun to watch that and cast that again, but anyways. Alright, we've got the Binglings going in. I'll try. I always remind myself of that game. I really should. It's considered to be one of the worst games of StarCraft 2 ever. But because of that, it's probably also one of those must-watch games, you know? It's gonna be a pretty interesting one to check out in 2023. Anyways, Tactical Nuke numero uno, flying across the map. Excellent reaction speed right here. Where is the Ghost? Am I blind? Oh, it's right over there. My god, I didn't even see it. I can't really blame Reynor for not noticing it quicker either. Was it on the screen the entire time? I think it probably was on the screen. This is one of the reasons, by the way, why a lot of the pro gamers opt to play with the lowest possible graphics. It gets rid of all the little shiny bits, it gets rid of all of the unnecessary information, and only, well, shows you what you absolutely need to see. This is one of the most common questions I see asked whenever players watch pro gamer streams. Like, hey, why are you playing, you know, on a game that looks like it's from the 90s? Well, they do that on purpose, just so they can actually spot cloaked units, for example, and, well, ghosts and whatever else you have a little bit easier. Alright, good snipes right there, forcing back the Mutas. The Mutas have been kind of nice, I guess, at leveraging this game to go the distance, but my god. So, look at the amount of minerals on the bank, or in the bank right now for Reynor, right? Sure, that is pretty sweet, but that's also because Spirit has been very command center heavy. So he's currently got 3, that makes 5, that makes 8, 13. He's got 15 command centers. Now, they're 400 minerals each, plus on top of that, we have, like, little, you know, orbital command heads. He's even mining these minerals from the back over here. Once the first... This is never seen that before. That's insane, actually. He mined out, or he destroyed those rocks over here to mine that a little bit quicker. Anyways, one of those command centers is gonna go down. But Spirit has plenty more. Where that came from, okay? Mythological Hydra over here. You cut off one of his orbital commands, he grows 3 new ones. Absolutely amazing. Man, we're going really Muta heavy though. He's going up to 40 Mutas. Interesting game here by Reynor. Alright, so I think what Reynor is trying to get done with these Mutas is sort of soft contain the opponent on 5 bases. But I think he's gonna desperately try to the best of his abilities to never allow this base, and to probably also never allow this base over here. Now, I've got a feeling that this one is much easier to take for the Terran than the one over here on the right side of the map. Anyways, at this moment, apparently the mutas are gonna once again fly in. We do have Ghost trying to deal some damage. Tactical nuke once again. In a location that I think was him trying to get incredibly lucky. 100 minerals, 100 gas down the drain. And some nuclear radiation. Yeah, who cares about that? Yeah, Terrans don't care about that. They'll just go to another planet. Neo-humanity. I guess, well, maybe not the best location if there's a lot of radiation flying around orbit of whatever this is. I guess we're on some sort of space platform, or maybe on top of a city or something. I don't know. There's a couple of broken down benchies. A truck. A futuristic truck sitting over there. Not exactly sure what's happening. We have another command center though. This is an interesting way of playing the Metro. I mean, mutas like this, in these numbers, they're gonna be pretty darn good at killing command centers. I'm assuming we're gonna kill the command center. No, we won't. I think he can just jump this. Yeah, ooh, we have a couple of Liberators coming in. I actually really like the Liberators here. Liberators are surprisingly good when they have some attack upgrades. I played a game the other day where I lost about, I want to say 12 Brute Lords to 4 Liberators. It was painful, man. Turns out the air-to-air of Liberators, when you least expect it, can actually deal with tremendous amount of damage. Lovely work right here, by the way, from Spirit. Securing this expansion on the right side of the map. Lurkers and mutas. And now Spore Crawlers coming up too. We have a third tactical nuclear strike. Going towards the Zerg static defense. But turns out the Zerg's defense is not very static. This is just a little creep clearing squad right now, but the Ghost has to pay the price. I don't think that is quite worth it. Okay, you know what? Those mutas are really rough though. My god, they're dealing so much damage. They just point them, whatever they click at, it dies. Yeah. Other than that one command center on the right, and probably this one, because there's too many ghosts nearby. He's still going more mutas. I think if you're gonna go this many mutas, double Spire would not be misplaced. We're now at +3 plus, well, 1.5, I guess. We have Mass Liberator coming up, by the way. Mass Liberator Ghost. We still have siege tanks from the early game. Couple Marines, maybe a Thor or two, a few medevacs left over. Couple Marauders too. Alright. I wouldn't have minded seeing an extra armory here a little bit quicker. Lurkers trying to get in position, but I honestly don't see how that's gonna happen. Liberators and Ghosts are the natural enemy right here, but I guess they're creating a distraction for the mutas to once again appear on the right side of the map. Reynor doing a lovely job here, darting in between all of those different locations. Mutas, of course, have that, they have that rapid regeneration passive that allows them to heal very quickly outside of combat. Good movement here once again, though, by Spirit. Splitting up his army sufficiently to the point where it's actually... Oh, Zergling's now coming in. Going after the fusion core, but anyways, making it difficult for the Zerg to backstab as much as they would like to. No army hotkey movement right here for Spirit, that's for sure. We're sniping Zerglings? Okay, now we're just showing off, man. I guess you have a lot of ghosts when you're happy to snipe a bunch of Zerglings. Don't think that's quite ideal or optimal, but... Alright, Reynor just growing an extra arm. We've got ourselves a rather complex unit composition, but nothing too crazy yet, so he can probably control an extra control group right over there. Yeah, I don't think so. These guys are so dead. Alright, get out of there. Mutas in the meantime, once again down south. 12 mutas, by the way, have gone down here over the course of the last couple of minutes. 53 right now in total. I feel like there's never really been a moment, at least not one that I caught on camera, where tons of mutas ended up going down in 1 second, but that's usually what happens to my mutas. Usually I don't pay attention. Bada bing, bada boom, everything dies. They've just slowly been dying over time. Good cost efficiency here so far for Terran, though. Once again, mutas going in. Planetary Fortress does not have any missile turrets built on top of it somehow. You'd imagine that the Terran engineers thought of putting missile turrets on the planetary fortress. Tactical nuke once again. I mean, it is springtime after all. We gotta do a little bit of cleaning from time to time. Get that nasty creep off of your corridors. But obviously, this is mostly just a distraction right here for the Zerg, allowing Terran to set up a better spot right over here in the middle of the map. In the meantime though, those mutas, I mean, that's the real strength of the muta, right? They can harass over here and still be back home for dinner as well, right? They can still fight all of this. I mean, I don't know how, because I feel like the Liberators, the Thor, the Ghost, they're all gonna shut this down pretty easily. Yeah, in the end, Reynor is killing a lot of stuff with the mutas. Oh, we have some parasitic bombs over here. 12 SCVs going down in total as well. He is killing a lot of missile turrets and command centers and gas geysers and SCVs and all that. But all of those things have one thing in common, and that is the fact that they only ever cost minerals. So we're trading minerals for gas. And usually Zerg is a lot more limited in the late game with gas than they are with minerals. So, same for Terran. Terran really does lack gas in the late game compared to minerals. So I don't think, in the end, it's the most cost-efficient way of playing. But I mean, it's doing a decent enough job keeping the Terran player occupied right now and making sure they don't have nearly as much money. Still though, this base over here on the right side has been secured. We've got a whole lot of mining happening there. Mules landed on those outer expansions. And if Spirit can also take control of this one, I think he's gonna be in a pretty darn good spot. Liberators flying around. How in the world does this game go on for such a long time still from here? Like, don't get me wrong, we're nearly, well, we're 22 minutes into this game now. I feel like 70% of the map has been mined out, right? Players are securing most of the minerals. How in the world is this gonna go on for so much more? Unless the replay timer is much longer, then that could actually be. I have had replays in the past, so people have recommended this game for me to cast, so I'm assuming at the very least it's gonna be a banger. Maybe this replay is longer than I believe it is, though, because sometimes if the observer of the replay stays in the replay for a lot longer after the game is ended, and they then send over the replay, sometimes there's a lot of extra time included. Anyways, looks like Reynor has won the fight over here on the top right-hand corner of the map. In the meantime, he's also pushed back that army here in the bottom left, mostly because the mutas are, yeah, distracting that army and they're forcing the retreat. Turns out the best defense is the offense once again. Is this really the type of army we want to have, though, Spirit? 30 ghosts. I mean, don't get me wrong, ghosts are amazing. 30 ghosts, 8 siege tanks, 12 liberators. Is this the unit comp? Do we really want more command centers? I am not convinced that we do. Maybe. Okay, here comes the big Zergling push. Yeah, Zerglings alone actually become a problem here for the... Never mind. I do think Zerglings alone are becoming a bit of a danger, though, for this Terran player. Because if you don't have anything supporting those ghosts, life becomes very difficult. Then again, what's the best move against Mass Liberator? I guess Corruptors are technically your best decision, or Parasitic Bomb with Vipers? But they are a bit of a tricky unit to counter, because if you have too many Corruptors and, well, they don't really do much. I think going for a big round of Corruptors would be pretty good. And then morphing them into Brute Lords, for example. I mean, all the upgrades are done at this point. No reason not to morph this Greater Spire in. Anyhow. I think Spirit has a good answer right now against basically everything that the Zerg has, but he needs to be very careful. It's easy to get away carried, it's easy to get away it's easy to get carried away, there you go, having too many ghosts. Third commentary is the charm, as they say. Excellent splits right here, though, from our Terran player. Yeah, that was an expensive loss right there for the Italian Zerg here. He is trying to justify this attack with a Zergling run by. Zergling over here burrowed beneath that command center as well. Okay. In the end, this is all gonna get cleaned up. One move, of course, that Reynor will always have, and one that Spirit has to be very careful for, I think they were within range of the missile turret detection. Anyways, it's that wombo combo, right? So Zerg can always go for a fungal growth parasitic bomb. That's really dangerous here for these liberators, and honestly, chain fungaling the ghosts, also not to be underestimated. That's one way to block an expansion. Here we go, once again, in the meantime. Top right-hand corner. The Muta clump, though, is starting to look a little pathetic now. 40 Mutas was an army. This kind of feels like the leftovers. This is expensive, though. Yeah, we're going for Corruptor, so he's trading out the amount of Mutas that he's got. Did he lose the Vipers as well? He's got only one, okay. Yeah, he's trading them out for higher tier units. Fair enough. Thors are coming out. I like this, yeah. We do need still one more upgrade for the Liberators. Smart servos on the production tab. Do we already have the Infernal Pre-Igniter? We do not yet, so I would love to see the Blue Flame upgrade too. I think a couple of Blue Flame Hellbats would be amazing. Now, unlike co-op, Liberators are unable to shoot at buildings. But we have some leftover Marines and Marauders. Spirit is inching his way closer to one of those bases of the Zerg. Okay, that hatchery is way out of position. I think. It looks very cursed anyways. It looks really far away from the mineral line. SCVs are once again starting to fall. We've seen so many SCV losses, but we are now certainly at the point where, yeah, the Zerg and the Terran, they don't really want to remake workers anymore. There's just not enough mineral fields to really justify it. So what Spirit is trying to do is create a split map scenario. So if we look right here at the resources lost, yeah, he's lost a good chunk less compared to the Zerg, right? So he's lost less money here overall. In his mind, if he can mine out half of the base, or half of the bases that are available on this map, if he can get half of the money that this map has to offer, he should be okay. In the meantime, that's exactly what Reynor is trying to avoid. This expansion is nearly mined out, so I think this is mostly for the position. It's gonna be difficult now for the Terran player to harass that expansion over here, and honestly, well, if this game is gonna be as long as it's gonna be, I do believe that these mineral fields are maybe gonna be important. Yeah, there's still about 2,500 gas remaining. That is significant. We have one hero Mutalisk over here. We had one hero Mutalisk over there, trying its best at killing an orbital. It heard stories of it when it was growing up as a little Mutalisk in a cocoon. It heard of, you know, the rest of his family sniping orbital commands, but apparently he did not get to live that dream. You know what I found out only about a half year ago? They're called Mutalisks because in Brute War, they could mutate. They're mutate lisks. Why did the oh my god. Anyway, static defense push right over here on the left side of the map. Reynor trying his best to deny his base. Very good position right here though for Spirit. Love those Liberators. Now the Brute Lords finally show up. We haven't really seen a lot of Brute Lords yet. We're gonna need to see more of a counter against those as well. We do have a bunch of Ghosts though coming in from the side. The snipes are absolutely amazing. Do we have any infestors ready for fungal growths? Well, we have, yeah, a fungal going down over there. Another big fungal on the back of this too. But this is a really lovely play right here from our Terran player. In the meantime, though, the Lurker Zergling squad over on the right side of the map. We've seen Serral make a similar move as well. It's an interesting combination of units, but it turns out, yeah, Lurkers and Zerglings are a pretty great move to harass with. It's an eye for an eye so far, though, but I do like this trade overall. A little bit better here for Spirit. Okay. Spirit is going to push away those Liberators and Zerglings eventually. But he's taking care of this over here, right? And that's big. He also, by the way, has started up the +3 flyer. That is awesome. We should probably also see the +3 attack here for the Lurkers and the Hydralisks. And I guess the Queens and the Roaches and the Ravagers. Maybe not as relevant. The Locust? Maybe also not as relevant. We should probably see that in the Evo Chambers, though. It's a pretty expensive upgrade. Reynor doesn't have a lot of money in the bank right now, but I think he can still afford it. 28 workers versus 26. I love how it's like a pyramid, right? In the early game of StarCraft 2, we try our best to make as many workers as possible. Players usually aim for like 70 to like 90, right? Sometimes more, sometimes less. But then the longer the game goes on, usually you want to be spending some of that supply on having additional army instead. Zergling over here blocking that base. Creep over here blocking that base. Spirit, though, still has a lot of mineral fields he can mine. He's still adding on more orbital commands, by the way. So he's got, yeah, he's got about 15 command centers right now. Apparently that's not enough. Another tactical nuke. Gearing up right now. Maybe originally the plan for this section we are on is to create a new humanity, but if it's up to Spirit, humans will not get a chance. Maybe it's not a neo-humanity for us. Maybe that's selfish of me. I don't know how Zergs are when it comes to nuclear waste, but... Okay, this is lovely though. I actually really like these zoning nukes that Spirit is doing, right? So he's buying time nuking these locations. So this move over here was maybe not the most streamlined version of it, but he's essentially trying to, yeah, set up shop using nukes, forcing the Zerg out of that spot. Anyways, we do have a really lovely set of spell casting though here from our Zerg. Parasitic bombs, fungal growths, very scary. In the meantime, once again, I feel like every time I look at the minimap during those big battles, Reynor is doing what Reynor does best. He's sensing counterattacks. This is what made him so popular in the early days of StarCraft 2 when he first started playing. I guess those weren't the early days of StarCraft 2. The early days for Reynor anyways. He was one of the very few Zergs who would continuously run in Zerglings. He would always do this. This was his trademark move. And he still does it. Everybody else now does it as well. Primarily because Reynor, of course, had a lot of success with this opener. With these strategies. Not really an opener. Anyhow, it's a very powerful move that's constantly forcing Spirit to back off. And in a lot of these engagements, it is Reynor trading out Zerglings right now for a bunch of tech from our Terran, right? So, obviously gas, once again for minerals, becomes one of the key components. So we've got 20 brutes here. I actually don't know if 20 brutes is enough. I think you probably want to have 30 to 40 brute lords in this scenario as Zerg, ideally. But obviously they're expensive. You do have to be careful about the Liberators, like I already mentioned. That is a problem, but most of those have gone down. Parasitic bombs and corruptors have been very good in that department. Spirit, once again, this command center has been flying here for ages. That burrowed Zergling there bought so much time. Okay. He sort of left this right side of the map alone for quite a bit, but now Spirit's sending in some reinforcing units. I think he needs to pick up, get on out of there. Love the fact that he still has some Marines and Marauders available. There was room in the plane for these guys, but the rest of the Terran army didn't like them. Do we have any fungal growths? We do have a fungal growth right there flying across eventually. But it looks like Spirit managed to actually get away there just barely in time. EMP obviously allowing those ghosts to stay safe. A lovely set of snipes there as well. Okay. The Spirit, I mean, he doesn't mind that those mineral fields were nibbled on by the Zerg earlier. He wants to grab some of those mineral fields here himself. Yeah. So a split map is nice for Terran. But if you can take one of the Zerg spaces, that could be even better. Brute Lords raiding their little brute links from a distance. This is actually a pretty interesting angle. Not something we commonly see, but yeah, Brute Lords are gonna be pretty great at harassing this. Interestingly enough, we don't have any blue flame hellbats. So Spirit instead is relying mostly here on a bunch of Marines again, which I'm not sure if I like that all too much. I guess if you're making medevacs though, it does make some sense to go, but hellbats can benefit from those as well. Interesting. Over the last, I want to say year or so, we've seen a lot of blue flame hellbat play, in particular against mass brute lord, because they can kill those brutelings so incredibly quickly, and well, obviously that is usually the main problem that you run into here as a Terran. But I guess Marines, when you stimp back, you can also you can get rid of those brutelings relatively easily. Okay. Planetary Fortress here, coming up. Do we still have lurkers remaining? 5 lurkers and a bunch of Zerglings, I guess, are still out. I wouldn't mind seeing them trying to go after some of these bases over here. Spirit is sending what small amount of SCVs he has towards the right side of the map here. Brute Lords, though, are ready. Yep. So Reynor is busy trying to snipe this base, and that expansion is going to be super dead. Main downside of Planetary Fortresses is that they can't fly. So orbital commands can take off. I guess the planetary is a bit too heavy. Usually, actually, I think an orbital is better in those locations exactly because of that. Especially if you can take control of the area right outside of that location. This is nicely done right here by Reynor, but in the meantime, Spirit has been taking control of this base right here on the right. So, yeah, he takes care of one, but Spirit takes care of another expansion on the right side too, which is really lovely work. Okay, that snipe over there does get the knight. Another snipe over there does connect though. Lurker walked it over in this direction, but Spirit took quick care of that before I could even see it right there. I didn't switch fast enough, but luckily for us, Spirit did. Big Zergling counterattack. I was gonna say, Lurkers are probably gonna be more important. He now looks at the amount of Lurkers that he's got though, and he decides, no, I need some more. So, once again, we have Hydras on the production tab. Yeah, we don't even really have the Hydra upgrades here. So, the Hydra is literally just our baby Lurkers. Okay. Reynor sees that this expansion is not taken once again. So he's trying his best. Are we gonna scan and stim? Yeah, we are. Alright, it's fair to say, yo bro, you can harass me all you want. Double planetary, by the way. I don't even really know if that's worth it for the minerals, but I guess for the gas it's pretty good. Yeah, we still have a good amount of gas remaining. It's gonna take a long time for the Zerg player to break through that. Reptile crate here. Blocking an expansion, I guess. Should get out of the way pretty rapidly, though. More factories coming up here on the left side of the map. So, Spirit's main base is now the map. Normally, Terrans, they're putting their production in the main base, maybe the natural. This man now has the entire base, or the entire map is his main base. Alright, we're starting to slow push. We're starting to slow push in the bottom left, but also in the top right. Zerg wants to push over here. Terran wants to push over there. Parasitic bomb, very nice. Here comes the Thor drop, though. Lovely move right there by Spirit. Also, though, moving in with the ghost on the right side. Reynor does spot them in time right there, and he gets some big fungal growths off. Spirit ends up losing a lot of his very expensive ghosts there. And what started off as an amazing fight right there for the Polish Terran, I don't actually think worked out right there for him at all. That was a very expensive exchange. I love the idea of the flank, but Reynor sniffed it out nice and quickly. Also, he kept most of his spellcasters alive. Only 2 Infestors and 4 Vipers have gone down so far, which is huge. We're actually going to Vikings right now, which is interesting. I guess with the Vipers down, though, do we have any remaining? Yeah, we still have 2 of them. They're somewhere here in this clump of brutes. With the Vikings, you can start sniping those units from a distance. Now, there's no splash damage upgrade for the Viking, right? Like we have, for example, for Reynor in co-op. That would be one of the most insane upgrades ever. I saw somebody arguing on the Battle.net forums recently that Terrans in multiplayer should have the upgrade that Reynor has in co-op that allows the Vikings to deal splash damage. That'd be absolutely ridiculous. They're still gonna be really interesting, though. Don't know how many he wants to make. There's the blue flame upgrade, by the way, coming up. So Spirit is thinking about making a couple of Hellions or Hellbats here eventually. Okay. Reynor is honestly broke. Yeah. He doesn't have a whole lot of income anymore. Only 100 minerals, 400 gas. Spirit, still with a lot more minerals in the bank. He's trying his best to take this expansion over here as well. Zerg desperately trying to prevent that from happening. Okay. I am favoring this position for Spirit quite a bit right now. Very good movement here by the Terran player overall. One of the hardest things you have to do as a Ghost Mech player is take control of multiple areas of the map. Right, so in the Zerg's mind, this Terran army can only ever move around as one big ball. For Terran, splitting up the units in the appropriate numbers is really difficult, because you ideally, once again, pesky little Zergling, you ideally control both sides of the map, right? So in this case, you want to control this lane over here, and then the one all the way in the bottom left. It feels ages away. But Spirit with some really good army movement, showing us that it is possible. It's just incredibly hard to pull off. So I was a little cautious about the amount of ghosts earlier. 55 of them have gone down in this game right now. 20 still remain. I think 20 is a pretty good number. So the ghosts are good against the Brute Lords, the Vipers, the Infestors here. The Lurkers. Any potential Ultra. Even Hydras. Apparently they can snipe Zerglings. Parasitic Bomb here, probably the scariest objective for those Viking. Or those Vikings. He definitely wants to be careful. Tactical nuke once again. Looks like I just barely missed the cast, but it's okay. It's gonna be flying on over towards this low ground. Don't get in range of that. Alright, Reynor should see a little red dot here, or at least he should see one a couple of seconds ago, or he should have seen one rather. We have one very ambitious scouting orbital. Just flying around, don't worry about it. I don't think it's gonna live for much longer. Nah, it just flew itself into a spore crawler. Reynor is desperately trying to get a counter against those Vikings out, right? So, I guess fungal growth, again, fungal parasitic bomb, the wombo combo is incredibly potent, but it's not a very reliable approach. He's now starting to long distance mine this expansion over here too, so he can barely afford a hatchery right now. I think he should make one though. Even though Spirit can very easily kill that with just this single Thor, Spirit seems to be busy over here in the top right-hand corner. Mining out as many minerals here as possible. Reynor wants to abduct units, I think. Ghost not really in a position here to EMP. Where are all of the ghosts? Yeah, there are a couple of them around here though. They're split off in multiple areas. Yeah. Not often do we actually see Terran players splitting all their units like that. Usually the ghosts sort of move around in one big ball. This way, you can make sure they're not getting fungled again like we saw earlier. Looks like Reynor is trying to go for a different angle, but I honestly don't know what he's looking for. The Vikings here are zoning away really nicely too, and in the meantime, of course, Mr. Spirit is mining out those very precious mineral fields. This expansion over here is gone. Thor is gonna run on over here too. He doesn't see an expansion, so I guess he's just gonna let these final minerals long distance mine. We do see the occasional volley though. Yeah, and that does hurt. That does hurt. Brute Lords can carry 2 Brutelings at once, and they will launch them all at the same time. So actually backing off and throwing them in little volleys can be efficient. It's just easy to get carried away here. Fungal growth? No, no fungal. Good scanner right there by Spirit. Moving the Vikings out of the way. Okay. Ooh, EMP. Once again, gets a couple of Vikings. But mostly it just buys time right here for those Brute Lords to get on top of that orbital command. This dance is pretty insane though. Reynor needs money, by the way. Like, his only income right now is that long distance mining. Liberator's coming a little bit closer. Spirit still has a lot of resources in the bank. Fungal growth over here. Excellent movement here though by Reynor. Once again, backing off to the safety of aesthetic defense. And now we can start abducting a couple of those units. The orbital command is gone, but there should be plenty here for him to replace that one lost command center. If you look at the income advantage over the last 10 minutes, I think honestly, if you look at the income advantage over the last, 25 minutes, it's looked like this. Spirit has been mining more than Reynor. Now, normally, yeah, Zerg is the inefficient race. So they're the ones not trading very efficiently at all. But in this particular game so far, you can really tell that Reynor has been doing a really good job microing his units very diligently, right? Oh, he still has some mining over here in the middle of the map too. For some reason I missed that. Excuse me. It's important though for the Zerg to take these fights as cautiously as possible, because he has no way to reinforce this. Interestingly enough, Spirit right now, 0 gas. So I'm assuming all of his refineries are completely run out. Yeah, so there is no way for him to get additional Vespian gas here. Luckily for him, Hellions cost only 100 minerals, and Marines are 50 minerals each. So there are still transitions that he can make that are going to be pretty good. Zerg with only minerals can make queens, they can make spore crawlers, spine crawlers, and Zerglings. Yeah, so Reynor now starts up, well, I guess his third spellcaster. He's already had infestors, he's already had vipers. Getting some queens here in the mix as well, not a bad choice. He wants to take this base. There's some Vespene over here. There's also still... No, this one has 0 Vespene remaining. I don't know about this gas, guys, or I can't click on it because there's no unit here in range. These gases may actually become the most precious gases in the whole game. Spirit decides to add on additional barracks once again. He already had 9 of them. Apparently we're going up to 12. Pretty good number. This kind of looks like an ant nest over here. These guys should be digging tunnels or something, I'm not sure, but... Yeah, we can make hatcheries too, of course. How in the world is this game going to end? It is possible to have a stalemate in StarCraft. Because we are getting to the point where, at least it seems to me, that Spirit doesn't want to fight without his planetary fortress and his missile turrets. And Reynor doesn't want to fight without, well, the creep, the queens, the spore crawlers, and all the rest of it. The problem right here is that there's still quite a bit of firepower in both of these armies. If we look right now at the army value, look at that in the top left. That's insane. These are some of the most... Can I actually graph it like that? Yeah. These are some of the most expensive armies that are possible. I don't think you can really spend more money on an army than... Well, not realistically anyways. Both players at near, well, single digits worth of workers here, so these armies are huge. 171, 184 army supply there. Reynor can still max out a little bit more. He's, by the way, secured this base. The reason why he's not maxing out here, I believe at least, is because he wants to make sure that he gets some higher tier units out, and he needs gas for that. Spirit maybe regretting sprinkling in those nukes earlier, because it would have been really nice to have a couple of those available at this point in time. Okay. Ooh. Yeah. Anything that generates energy right now is gonna feel really good, because energy-based units tend to accumulate value over time. So ghosts are really good when it comes to that, but of course also infestors and vipers and queens. And that's one of the reasons why oftentimes in the late game, in the extreme late game, which is where we are at right now, these top level Zergs, they seem to get the upper hand. Microing these late game armies is very difficult for both sides. But technically speaking, like imagine like 2 computers trying to create a perfect control here of these armies. There is more juice that can be squeezed out of the... Oh my god, well that's a lot of juice right over there. Anyways, that might be the thumbnail right there. 48 minutes. Future Loco, 48 minutes. That was a banger shot right there. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, if you have perfect control, I think theoretically... So this gas, by the way, also nothing remaining. Theoretically, I do believe that there is a little bit more that you can squeeze out of this Zerg army. But that's easier said than done. He's, by the way, spending his gas on Neural Parasite, which is very clever. I think that's a good idea. Usually what Zergs are aiming for at this point is to try and neural a ghost and then EMP. So use the, well, ghost ability that gets rid of energy to get rid of energy of the rest of the ghosts. So you counter ghosts with ghosts. Again, easier said than done, but just something to note. Alright, this is literally the last gas on the map though. Yeah, Spirit has not he's not had any gas income here in quite a while. Smart Servos is done. There's still some minerals that can be mined here. I'm actually a little surprised these are still around. This base has been super easy. Anyways, only a handful of drones remain right here for Reynor. It is unlikely that 10 additional Zerglings though, okay, maybe a little more than that, would make or break this game. Actually, still quite a bit. Yeah, there's like a couple thousand minerals remaining in those couple of fields there, which is not bad. You get 2 Zerglings for 50 minerals, so it's a pretty good deal. Okay. So now what? Yeah, so there is an automated stalemate detector in the game. I was talking about that earlier. Basically, if the game notices, I don't really know exactly what the amount of time is, but if the game notices that nothing's been killed and really nothing's happening in the game anymore for, I think, like 4 or 5 minutes, it will start a countdown timer that appears in the top right-hand corner of the screen, and it will tell us, yo, if you don't kill something within the next X amount of minutes, again, I don't really know exactly how long it is, the game will end in a draw. So this wasn't the case in the early days of StarCraft 2, much to everybody's dismay. There were a couple of games where that could have been very helpful. Blizzard added that at some point. I'm assuming that was on their list of about 1 million different things they wanted to add to the game, and they never got around to it. Vikings clumped up. Nicely done. Boom. Get yourself a... Ooh, okay. Nice split right there, man. Get yourself a... I think that was a Viper going down. The extractors over here, they have run dry. The 9 drones that we still have remaining, they're all over here hugging the 1 mineral field. I think they should be cycled on over towards those mineral fields here momentarily. One thing to note right here for Spirit is that it's going to be difficult for him to keep repairing these Vikings because he doesn't have any gas. Which is a problem. Repair are usually very efficient, but every fungal... Yeah. Every fungal, every parasitic bomb is going to make it more and more difficult. 3 Marauders and a Dream over here, trying his best. A split second, though, can end this game here for either player. Be it a big EMP on all of this, or, for example, a big fungal growth on all of the ghosts. Well, I really like what Spirit is doing here. He's keeping all of these units split up. Couple of snipes over here, not bad. Pick off whatever Zerg unit you can. The supply count's slowly inching in favor right now of our Polish Terran. Reynor just spent his piggy bank. 36 additional links coming up. Has he forgotten about these minerals here in the middle? He really should mine those out. He probably is also not thinking about those. It's very easy to be too focused on the outskirts of the map, right? That you... Well, that's one of the downsides of having a lot of actions per minute. That you accidentally forget about that. Okay. 1 ghost. They did get 1 snipe off, but 1 snipe is not enough to kill a Brute Lord, and with transfusions you can bring these units back up to full, or obviously they will slowly regen. It might honestly be time to get rid of all the SCVs. 13 SCVs is still 13 supply. That could be attacking units instead. Brenda over there, taking control of the watchtower. Karen takes her her place right now. A little sad. She does shoot a spine though at the Vikings. She heard that she couldn't regen, but she's also dead. Yeah, okay, well. I was talking about this over here. Apparently the Zerglings helped out. Yeah, there's nothing, Reynor. There's minerals over here though, Reynor. You just run by it. Interesting. Anyways, there's nothing anymore over there. Reynor took care of Spirit's little SCV problem. So we still have 4 of those bad boys. Yeah, maybe having a couple so you can still make missile turrets is not a bad call. Also something that Spirit can still do. I guess I'll switch over to the units tab there in the top left-hand corner so you can keep track of what's happening here. Okay, so Spirit is starting to push back his opponent though. Mostly because Reynor doesn't care anymore about these bases. I think saving the Spine Crawler might be worthwhile. So he's found the minerals, by the way. Interestingly enough. For the first time in a bit, Reynor now has the income advantage. Only a couple 100 minerals, but nothing too crazy. Still better than nothing. This map is gonna mine out... Oh, what? How have I not noticed these? There's minerals over here in the natural. He must have lifted off and gotten out of there. There's still some minerals over here too. Honestly? He has about 100 mules that he can land right now. I understand that scans are important, but I genuinely think he should mine those out. He still has a lot of money in the bank, I get that, but... If there's suddenly a clash between these armies, I think the player that can remax faster, as in Spirit, because, you know, he's the only one max right now, and he's the only one with money in the bank, having more money is helpful. What are you guys going for? What are you guys doing? Excuse me, gentlemen. These were men with missions. Oh. Oof. I think that was 3 infestors going down for 1 ghost. Probably 2 ghosts. Hydras actually don't have their upgrades, so the Hydras can't chase that well. Maybe they did get their upgrades eventually. Still not +3, by the way. Nah, they just look kind of fast on creep. No muscular augments here. Spirit sprinkling in a hellbat every once in a while. He's now got 19 of them, though. Okay, maybe I was doubting that earlier, but I think it's the right call. The hellbats can be repaired by SCVs, but more importantly, I gotta say, man, it's always fun to play versus you. Oh no, I think Reynor's tilting a bit. What I can do? All right, nice. Very high momentum games. Oh no. I know Reynor is trolling here a little bit, but I do think he's a bit tilted. Yeah. Spirit loves playing these type of games. But you play like me? Hey, that's very true. Reynor thinking here, though, that, yeah, he's the one actively doing a lot of run-bys and trying to force the game to end a little bit earlier. Spirit also, though, playing to the strength of Terran here. Even though I think theoretically the Zerg army, right, with perfect control, has an absurd amount of potential. You need to micro queens, Viking, you need all of these on separate hotkeys. All of these units you're seeing on the screen right now, they essentially all need a separate hotkey. Whereas for Spirit, I mean, a lot of these units do need a separate hotkey, but the main unit he needs to control is the Ghost. And the Ghost is good against everything that you see on the screen right here for Zerg. So, I think overall in a realistic game, where you're talking about your best win chances, mining out half of your side of the map, and then trying to create that ultimate Terran mech Ghost army is amazing. So strategically, even though it is maybe a bit boring to play right here for Reynor, and he's frustrated about it, I think Spirit has played this brilliantly. I don't think Spirit quite realizes the amount of money that's in the bank for Reynor. He probably assumes that Reynor's maxed right now. But yeah, he needs to be very careful. Obviously, another unit that has energy, by the way, I haven't really talked about that yet, but that's these bad boys, the Orbital Commands. Amazingly helpful. We still have minerals that need to be mined, by the way. Apparently, we're not doing so. That's the sound of the scan right over there. Vikings trying to clump up, but he can't repair them, so he can't really move forward. This could actually end in a draw. As silly as that sounds, I don't think actually killing a creep tumor counts as a reset to the stalemate timer. But I'm not sure. He's even gonna reposition his orbitals right there to create choke points. Yeah, I actually think that's very clever. Try and reduce service area right there on planetary fortresses. Fortry. I don't think that's the correct plural. It's like a Terran versus Terran late game now. It's just a 1 Terran though. We're trading energy for energy. Okay, so how in the world is this game going to end? I am favoring Spirit's position. I want to say probably 70% of the time. The main issue, though, is that taking the correct fight is incredibly hard. Reynor's not gonna leave creep unless he gets the fungal growth of a lifetime. The problem when he leaves creep is that his 14 queens can't join in. So I think Reynor's best chances are staying on creep and hoping the opponent overstays, right? Oversteps, rather. He's got a group of Lings and Banes over here. These Lings and Banes are probably meant to roll into all of those ghosts if he can get the hit in. But overall, if Spirit plays this out correctly, and he's been playing this series, or this particular match rather, very cleverly, even though it may be frustrating to watch for some Zergs, I gotta hand it to him. I think if he keeps playing the way that he has been, he is gonna be able to obtain the victory. He just needs to be very careful. So this is the point in the game that all Zerg players absolutely hate. There might be a couple out there that enjoy it. But basically what Reynor is doing right now, we can go to Reynor's vision. This is Reynor's vision right over here. He's pressing buttons very quickly, right? But his eyes are pinned over here. This is what he's looking at. He's looking at the minimap, sending in a little changeling, hoping he can get the fungal growth of a lifetime. Okay, I'm gonna take control of the camera once again. 495 average actions per minute here by Reynor, 370 for Spirit. EMP over there, at least attempted, but it turns out Brute Lords aren't spellcasters. Who would have known? What's the plan? I think Reynor's very frustrated here. What's the plan? I'm winning it. Alright. I think if you ask Reynor about this game, he's gonna tell you he hated it. Yeah. So keep in mind, right? These guys, they face off against each other regularly. Spirit really has improved to the point where he can hang with the big boys. And this is the type of game that is not only going really well for Spirit right now, it's also gonna be relevant for the next time that these two will face off against each other. Because it's very clear that Spirit is keen to play this and that Reynor is not. So there's a good chance that in a future best of 3 or best of 5 or whatever that these guys will play, that Reynor's gonna be overly aggressive. That's one of the things that's kind of difficult to capture when casting and watching StarCraft 2. I try to bring you as much backstory as possible, but I obviously also don't know literally every single encounter that these guys have had or ladder games that they've recently played or whatever, right? The mental part of this game when you know your opponents is actually very significant. There's a good chance Reynor is going to play too aggressively next time these guys face, just to avoid this situation that he's found himself in right now. On the other hand, I'm not sure how Spirit is planning on ending this game. There certainly could be a momentary lapse in focus. Right? Because you're basically playing the same game here the entire time. So they've essentially both been staring at the middle of their monitors for 15 minutes now. There's a good chance that one of them at some point is gonna lose a little bit of focus. And for example, if you get all these Vikings fungled, look at them, trying to clump them all up together so they look like a single unit. If he gets all of these fungled and they all die, that might actually just be the edge that Reynor needs. That's also what Reynor's hoping for, of course. This is difficult to train for, by the way. It's almost like a... It's almost like a meditation, right? Like you have to remain focused while doing a whole lot of nothing. At least that's what it feels like. So this was a match played during the StarCraft 2 Masters tournament. So this is a premier event. There's a lot of money on the line. But it is still very easy when you're in your mind not really doing a whole lot to accidentally lose focus. I love, by the way, that the Brute Lord Viper control group has found another clump of units. Reynor has decided to add the Overlords to the same control group as well. Actually, we have no Vipers. Never mind. It's the Brute Lord Corruptor hotkey. But yeah, we have a group of Overlords now added into the mix as well. That's actually kind of clever, because obviously Reynor's never going to be able to remax anyways. He's got no money. He's got 47 minerals. So if, for example, in a big engagement, Spirit ends up accidentally target firing down, I don't know, that's a good snipe right over there. If he accidentally target fires down the Overlords, or he doesn't micro his Thors properly and they start shooting at the wrong target, it's an extra meat shield, right? Okay. Yeah, Spirit's slowly picking off units. Other than a mistake from our Terran player, I don't see a way in which Reynor is going to be able to win this. But obviously, he's been playing this for over an hour right now. Ooh. He also does not want to go down without a final fight. I would like to see a little bit more banter, though. I wouldn't mind seeing a bit more banter, but you also gotta be careful when it comes to playing premier tournaments. Ooh, especially in StarCraft Brood War. In StarCraft Brood War, during the Caspa times, this would be grounds for disqualification. They were very strict with what you could do and what you couldn't do. So you could essentially only say GLHF and GG. That was basically the only thing you could type in the game chat. Luckily, those days are behind us and we don't have that anymore because that's honestly absurd. But yeah, taunting your opponent in-game. I know some players view this as part of strategy, where trying to antagonize your opponent is part of the build order, right? Step 1, build cannons in their natural. Step 2, make fun of the opponent, right? Some players consider that part of the strategy game. I personally disagree. But, you know, this would be a fun little moment for some banter. But obviously, if that little bit of banter would cause Spirit to lose focus, I can imagine that would be a little bit of drama in the StarCraft community. I like a little bit of drama, though. We have a dance over here. 48 minutes, by the way. Blue Flame Hellions. Future Loco needs to know. I hope that was a good shot. I don't know. Yeah, we've got a little bit of a dance over here. Mostly just the ghost dance, though, is relevant. Trying to get the snipes. Reynor probably thinking about tabbing out right now. He knows he shouldn't. But if this was a ladder game, I think he'd be out. He could have played 7 games in the duration of this one game. Spirit looking for a moment, though, where he can collapse on top of this. What I love about this, though, is that this is uncomfortable for everybody involved, right? Like, you must be watching this right now as well with that feeling in your gut where you're like, oh, God. Oh, this kind of... Spirit plays this way. This is what Spirit doesn't mind doing. Spirit's like, yep, this is... I don't see a problem with this. I'll just kill my own missile turret there for no apparent reason. I'll just hang out over here. It takes a lot of perseverance, I guess. Look at that. One little SCV. Repairing to the best of his abilities. Apparently we had another snipe over here. I think it's just one queen at a time, man. Spirit is winning this game by sniping 2 supply every minute. Oh! No, he got too greedy. Brute Lords? Yep. Ah, mistakes were made. I think there's probably gonna be quite a few people that have made it to this point in the video and they fast forwarded a little bit. They're like, oh my God, I can't. The tension is too much. Yeah, no, I get that. I get that. Hey, if you are still listening to this, though, if you want to do me a favor, please hit the like button down below. And if you really enjoy watching this content, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. That way, we may very well, be able to climb this channel back up as far as the viewer numbers go a little bit. I've noticed recently there's a little bit of lack of interest in StarCraft, it seems. Players are, or viewers are slowly starting to look away a little bit more, it seems. I still absolutely love this game. I am not gonna go anywhere as far as StarCraft goes. Although that being said, I would be excited as well to cast another RTS game in, you know, at some point in the future anyways. Most notably, Stormgate seems amazing, but we'll see. Got ourselves the Ghost moving in once again. Fungal growth over there does not connect. So, by the way, the replay timer is correct. I think it was about an hour ago that I said, how in the world is this game gonna go on for another hour? Yet here we are. This might also be a good moment to point out that I live stream pretty much every day over at twitch.tv/LowkoTV. I get the occasional YouTube viewer tuning in on Twitch and like, what? What, you stream on Twitch? I had no idea. I stream about 30 hours a week on Twitch. I have been for 8 years, maybe? I don't know. I've been streaming on Twitch for a very long time. I yeah, definitely invite you to come and hang out as well. Plus, I have a Patreon page. I actually want to redo a couple of the perks on Patreon. Give you a little bit more value there as well. Patreon.com/LowkoTV. Definitely the easiest way to directly support me. If you enjoy the content, that is. And if you have the means to, obviously. Absolutely no obligation to whatsoever. But you can, if you want to. Do you think we're gonna see one final clash between these armies? Because I've got a feeling Reynor is about to be done with this. Okay, well maybe Spirit is about to be done with this. He's trying to kill the Zerglings here, and he will kill them. But it's gonna come at the cost of all of this. I think that's fine though, because Spirit can actually remake Hellions here. Yeah. In the meantime, he can use this as a way, okay, to take control of the center of the Zerg side of the map. Losing the Lurker Den doesn't matter. No, he kept one Brute Lord behind. Okay, that was actually quite clever right here for Spirit. He's making more Hellbats. He's traded out his opponent's stuff. He must have noticed you don't quite seem maxed out, so this works out great for me. This is a Spirit game to a T though, my god. Nobody really plays like this. This man. I was talking about how Reynor maybe 5 years ago lacked a little bit of patience. Spirit makes up for that about 5-fold. I think he's the most patient Terran player out there. There go the Vikings once again. He's attempted this exact move about 17 times. And they fly back once again. Alright. The supply count though is not lying. 184 army supply versus 118. Another queen going down. And he's only ever committing a small number of ghosts here at a time. Yeah, he's thinking about getting one of those. Okay, one of those brutes. You can't snipe structures. Pretty decent EMP there, but not quite enough to trigger Spirit to make a big move. Plus, you know what? He still has one Hellbat to produce. Did he, by the way, ever mine out? He never mined out those minerals. Ay, ay, ay. He mined out all of the outer bases, but none of the... Actually, these are also still available here in pretty big numbers. I wouldn't even mind seeing a command center head on over here. Hey, look! Oh, siege tanks! That's the unit that allows you to force a fight. Well, as soon as he moved the siege tank going, he got a little bit ambitious. Immediately, he lost a ghost in the process, too. Reynor's gonna start taking up shop here in the natural. Still hoping for the golden fungal growth. Please don't let this be an anticlimactic ending, though. Please at least take the fight. I'm a little afraid. We're building up for the last, literally half hour now. And Reynor's like, okay, you know what? Screw this. I'm out. That would suck. That would suck for everybody involved. I don't want to get blue-balled here, Reynor. Come on. We need this, Reynor. Reynor, we need to see your army die. We deserve it now, okay? We've been waiting. We've waited long enough. You've been teasing us for ages, man. Couple of ghosts coming in from the side. Snipe going down once again. Honestly, I don't think Spirit wants to fight. Nah, I actually don't think Spirit is going to fight. He is just containing his opponent in his own natural. And he's just gonna try and pick off one unit at a time. Oh, 2 ghosts going down. That was a mistake. Big mistake. Huge mistake. Spirit right now face palming. He's like, oh my god, how could I ever have done that? How could I have that let? Or how could that happen to me? How could this happen to me? I made my mistakes, man. Horrible time. All right. Lowko said, what about me being impatient? Oh, we're going. This is the moment. This is the... I think he's gonna get absolutely destroyed. Here we go. The Queen's trying her very best. Fungal growth, not gonna happen because all of those infestors are in a choke point. EMP is connected with literally everything. Spirit can just, well, attack move. Yeah, that's how big his advantage has been here for quite a while. Marines stimming forward as well. We've got the Thors boosting forward. Reynor says, congrats. I'm pretty sure that's the most salty congrats I've ever seen in a game. But he also typed GG. Hey, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to smile, and I'll see you once again in the next one.